Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Advanced League Tips, a series where we take a look at each champion individually and break down their animation, cancels, input buffering combos, as well as item active combos that interact with their kit. Today we're going to be taking a look at Camille, and we're going to be doing a one-take style video for her because there's not too much going on with her, but there are a few input buffers we're going to go over, as well as the general item active combos that are applicable to her. We aren't going to be focusing on her ultimate at all because there's nothing interesting going on there, but with her Q, her W, and her E ability, we are going to be taking a look at that. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. So to give her basic abilities context before we get into the input buffering overlaying, let's start with her Q. So when you press Q, you're going to notice her thighs light up. And then when she goes to auto attack an enemy, there's Q1. Wait a second. Q2, press it, and when she flips, that's the indicator that the second part of her Q goes off. So let's do that again. Thighs light up. Auto, wait a second, press Q, and she gets the second auto attack from Q2. Her W is a simple sweep that she winds up and then deals damage in an area. Hitting on the outside slows the enemy, deals bonus damage, and heals you. Hitting on the inside just deals some damage. That'll still give you a proc of Conqueror, but nonetheless, you still want to try and hit on the outside here. And finally, with her hook shot, this is her engage, so she goes to a wall, and she can stay there, or just bounce off of it to an enemy that's within range. Input a move command or clicking on them, and it will bounce you to them, knocking them back briefly, and dealing some bonus damage. So essentially what input buffering her abilities means is that you're able to press the abilities at the same time rather than having to wait for cast times to go off, thus allowing your damage to go off faster. So let's take a look at her QW first. So again, we got the Q animation with the thighs lighting up, and then we have the W animation with the sweep. So if we press both of those at the same time, we're going to have both animations go off. So, and then if we walk up, there's the first Q, and then there's the second Q. Looking at that one more time for context, both animations go off right there. And then there is the second Q. So let's take a look at her QE then. So the same way that you can buffer her QW, you can also buffer her QE. So when I cast hook shot, you can see her thighs light up, go in, get the auto, wait a second, flip. Doing that one more time for context. Press E, cast Q, go in, and you get the auto. Press Q, and you get the flip. You can also do it on the back half of her hook shot as well. So hook shot in, press Q, and during the second part of her hook shot, she is able to get her Q off one more time. So hook shot in, press Q, and we get the Q cast during the second dash. Now, taking a look at her hook shot and her W, this takes a little bit of timing and isn't necessarily the best combo to know, but essentially you can get more damage off faster, especially if you're going for a full dive in lane. So at any part during her E, just like her Q, her W can be cast as well. So here's E1, there's dash for the prep, and then there's the E going off, or the W going off, excuse me. So there's the E with the W prep there. And then looking at that off of the second part of her E, we go in, get the wind up on W, and we'll do that one more time. Go in, wind up on W, and during the second part of her E, we get the cast time off as well. And just to show you guys the full potential in terms of the speed of casting her abilities with her kit, if I press all three together, I get all three instances of her abilities. So let's look at that one more time. Now, obviously, you have to get the direction of the cast correctly, but in that case right there, you were able to get all three of her input buffering combos off. Now, obviously, with Camille, spacing out her abilities is a must. However, I'm sure there will be situations that you're in where, let's say, you're flying across a wall and you got to prep early because there's an enemy right here. Or let's say you're going in and then somebody pops out of a bush. You can press Q in the middle of your dash for that. Or go in, like say you're playing against a Silas. You can get a fast engage, and while that's going off, prep your Q. And then there's Q with the prep over top of her W. So with all of those ironed out, and now that you know the input buffering combos and everything that she's capable of with her kit, let's take a look at item actives. Now, one thing I will say with this is more just for general knowledge. Typically, Camille is a Divine Sunder Trinity Force user. Gore Drinker and Stridebreaker really aren't items that she necessarily uses. However, who knows where the meta is going to shift, how Riot balances things, yada, yada, yada. So taking a look at her Stridebreaker combos. So during her W, she can cast the prep for her W and Stridebreaker into range. So that's pretty straightforward. And then with her E, if you cast before, her E pretty much has a set distance in terms of where it lands. So if I'm standing here, cast my E and flash away, no matter what happens, it's still going to hit the wall because of the initial cast range. So I can do a really fancy combo here where I E Stridebreaker away to get a Conqueror stack and some damage off, and it'll still interact with E that way. And then during Stridebreaker, I can also cast Q, and my get that auto buffer off at the same time, because just like with her other abilities, you can cast that stuff over top. So let's take a look at Gore Drinker. Unlike other champions that have negative interactions with some of these, Camille is pretty much universal with Gore Drinker and Stridebreaker. So if I press W into Gore Drinker, it'll prep, and then she'll get the Gore Drinker off at the same time. Same with Gore Drinker Q, so if I press Gore Drinker during the windup, the prep for the Q will go off, and then the auto attack will resolve after Gore Drinker is finished. So if I go Gore Drinker Q, you'll get both at the same time, and then obviously the animation for the auto attack will resolve after Gore Drinker. And then with Gore Drinker E, during the cast time, I wasn't close enough to a wall, so during the cast time of that, she can cast it, and then she'll go. Also in the middle of her E dash, she can cast it, and then with E2, she can prep it and cast it during the dash of her E2 as well. And then with Prowler's Claw, this has an interesting interaction, similar to Vi's Q, which I was actually very surprised about. So, during the cast of Prowler's Claw, let me see what you can do with Q here. Yeah, so Prowler's Claw is a very clunky item and it's active, so you can't actually overlay Q with it. Now with her W, what's interesting is that you can do that with W. Will you neglect your damage? Yes. Unless you time it correctly, but will it still work? Yes. I don't know why. And then with her E, pay attention to the Conqueror stacks down here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do E2. E2 meaning the second part of her E cast. And what's going to happen is she's going to get 2 instances of damage off, just like Vi, with casting Q and using Prowler's Claw as well. So she goes in. That was a little too far away, pardon me. Wait for that Conqueror stack to go down. She goes in, and you can see she gets 4 stacks, which for melee champions is technically 2. She gets 4 stacks, even though she is in the middle of her hookshot dash, and Prowler's Claw interrupts that dash, technically speaking. What should happen is the damage from E should not go off, and Prowler's Claw should overtake that. However, based off of the way this works, similar to Vi's Q engage, we get 2 instances of damage. Now that, I think I casted it a little too early. Yeah, so that time we got the 2 stacks off. So last time, for context, I promise. Alright, so there's the stacks off right down here. So E in. And then we get the 4 together. So not exactly sure what's going on there, but certainly an interesting interaction nonetheless. And as a bonus for Camille, because I just thought it was absolutely hysterical, her abilities with Zhonya's Hourglass. So her W prep here, the ability and the damage still go off. Why? I don't know. I just think this is absolutely funny. And then she can actually dash with her E and Zhonya. So check this out, right? So that pulls her. And then if I do this one more time and flash away, she gets a huge golden dash there. And what's even better is if I do E2, the damage still goes off. As you can see, I get the Conqueror stack down here. One more time for context. Let's do... I don't know. So there's your bonus clip, guys. And there's all of Camille's item active combos as well as her input buffering combos. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see each other again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.